yeah, let's close the door. Wait, that's 6, right? Yeah, 6. Okay, sweet. Where's the light? Light. Okay. Hello. Everyone has heard of controversial scandals involving athletes and steroids. Baseball player Barry Bonds, track star Marion Jones, and bicyclist Lance Armstrong are some famous ones that come to mind. These athletes have a very negative connotation associated with them, one that they don't deserve, because professional athletes should be able to use steroids. I've performed extensive research on this topic and have numerous expert opinions to back up my assertions. Today, I will talk about the problem that arises when prosecuting athletes for using performance-enhancing drugs, and some of the reasons that athletes choose to use performance-enhancing drugs, and some of the solutions that can be had at this problem. First, let's examine the problem at hand. So the problem is that athletes' careers are ruined if they use steroids, but if they don't, they'll be mediocre athletes. So in 2009, the U.S. News and World Report released a study that revealed the stunning fact that 1 in 10 professional or retired professional football players reported they had used steroids. And in the MLB, here's my visual aid, you can see that right before the MLB implemented new drug rules was the highest the scoring had ever been in the MLB, which I would probably say that players were using performance-enhancing drugs at some point, which means a lot of them are. And similarly, Jennifer Say, former U.S. national champion gymnast, said this about steroid use in the Olympics. She said that I don't blame athletes like Marion Jones for juicing up in their performance with a little extra oomph. She's caught up in her sport. She needs something to maintain her edge. Everyone else is doing it. If you shot me up with whatever she had, I wouldn't be the fastest woman alive. It would still be her out there on that track. This served to show that athletes are in a damned if I do, damned if I don't situation. On one hand, if they choose to take performance enhancers and stay competitive because everyone else is doing it, they risk getting caught and being in serious trouble. On the other hand, if they don't, they can't compete at the same level of their peers. Next, let's examine why there's such a stigma associated with steroid use, the causes of these problems. The first stigma that arises with steroid use is the worry of physical mutation that arises from the use of certain performance-enhancing drugs. Glenn Darby, editor at Fox News, acknowledges that doctors will say steroids are dangerous. Acne and roid rage are not the only side effects. Tumors and jaundice are always a possibility, and of course, there is death. But this doesn't stop doctors from prescribing medical steroids for patients for things ranging from infection for anything all the way up to cancer. They are hormones, and just like everything else, are bad when used too much. So why not just control it? Another apprehension that arises with the use of steroids is that it is immoral and violates the spirit of sport. But is using performance-enhancing steroids or performance-enhancing technologies in nutrition, training, and equipment any different from using performance-enhancing drugs? Obviously, this is not a black-and-white dilemma. But seeing how professional sports leagues advocate for their athletes to use every factor that can improve their performance, doesn't it seem a little hypocritical that they would deny their athletes of another means to improve their performance? Finally, what are some solutions to this issue? The obvious solution is to allow athletes to use steroids, but in how much amount? Glenn Darby, who I quoted previously in this speech, has an excellent plan on how doctors can implement the safe use of steroids. He says that if a baseball player has a doctor who says it is okay for them to use steroids, who is the MLB to stop them? Those who buy it without a prescription, or to obtain prescriptions from vets or other weird doctors. So basically, if you obtain a prescription from an illegal way, it should be prosecuted by the law and not the MLB. Other than that, let the doctors continue to make us better athletes. They've been doing it forever. There's no sense in stopping us now. Oh man, it's turned off. It's still going? Yeah, okay, still going. So, in Darby's opinion, if a professional athlete obtains steroids illegally, he or she should be punished, or the athlete should be punished. But if they should be able to use whatever is prescribed to them legally by their doctors. This plan is the best because it finds the middle ground between the two extremes. One extreme being that they're not allowed to use steroids at all, and the other extreme being right now where they can use whatever they want as long as they can obtain it without getting caught. So, what can you do? Well, seeing as none of you are professional athletes, no offense, you should not go out and use steroids. My argument only applies to professionals. So I'm not saying high school athletes should be able to use steroids, only professional athletes. What you can do is advocate for these professionals to be able to make their own decisions for what they put into their bodies. So today, I told you about how steroid controversies make sports unfair, why there's a stigma against steroid use, and one potential solution to this problem. This shows that athletes who do end up in trouble are simply the ones that are caught in the middle, and they shouldn't be punished nearly as hard as they are. Thank you for listening to my speech, and hopefully next time when you hear about a steroid scandal, you will think twice before deprecating the scrutinized athlete.